see this?
So we're very honored to have him. Russ Baker, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Absolutely.
Let's give you a round of applause, man.
Who's doing that applauding? That's not canned, is it?
Yeah, it's Mike Can, Frank Capone. Holly is also here. Say hello,
Yes,
Holly.
hello. How are you?
Hi, Holly. Nice to hear you.
We got a full studio. There's some other folks here as well. And Russ, we want to get right into it. The Boston bombing, you guys have been covering this so well, whowhatwhy.com. So much information that you guys, just in your couple of days coming into Boston, into Harvard, into MIT, investigating just simply the Sean Collier murder that happened right next to my house. Like, I was there that night, like a half hour after he was shot. And it just, following the whole thing with the scanners that night and being in the middle of this lockdown, it bothers me that we still know nothing about this, and what we find out is through you, not the Boston Globe and not the New York Times. It's through you, your little outfit. Why is that? What is going on with the Sean Collier thing? First of all, what have you found out? Tell people, please.
Well, first of all, let me say that the reason I started Who, What, Why, our nonprofit, nonpartisan news site, is because I got fed up with this kind of thing happening again and again. In the course of decades of working in mainstream journalism, I saw that when there was a big event, let's call it a big trauma, involving powerful interests and the security state and what have you, there always seemed to be this tremendous pressure for everybody to get in line, and there would be almost instantaneously a statement that the authorities have solved the thing, and everybody line up and start waving your flags and repeating what you're told. And we know from experience that large institutions and certainly government outfits like the FBI and so forth have a less than stellar track record when it comes to leveling with us. And yet we forget that every time. Every time we start over again and they say, okay, you go back to the Kennedy assassination with Lee Harvey Oswald, they were almost instantly saying that they had solved it. And as anybody who's followed that over the years and read the many terrific books on that subject know that that's a much more complicated subject, and there are real doubts about the official story. And so our society is divided between those of us who hear the official story and accept it and think it's crazy to question it, and those of us who dig in and who question. And so with the Boston bombing here, what struck me was how quickly they began saying to us, the whole thing's solved, nothing to see here, folks, move along, move along. And I thought, wow, that is really fast. And we began looking at it at Who, What, Why. And one of the things that interested me, as you said, was the shooting of Officer Collier. And it's very interesting to me to hear from you that you live right there and that you were on the scene shortly thereafter. Hope we can talk about it. I'd love to hear what you know. But I can tell you this much. The story about what happened to Officer Sean Collier changed. And it changed a number of times. And what the public thinks, and in fact those people who are being considered to be on the jury, what they think happened there is probably not even what the authorities ended up admitting or claiming later on. And so, there's a saying, there are various iterations from Churchill and so forth. Mark Twain is supposedly said that a lie gets around the world before the truth can get its pants on.
Yeah, that retraction about the gun, like the whole thing, immediately, they shot this guy to steal his gun.
Well, let's go back to the beginning.
Right.
We were first told that Officer Sean Collier died in the line of duty when confronting
that's right.
the Boston bombing terrorists.
That's right.
That's what we were told.
Initially,
and that's why there's a beer named after him. That's why there's a 10K run and T-shirts and clubs. That's why they filled a stadium. Are you ready for this? They filled a stadium. And the Vice President of the United States came out, and it was all these people cheering for this guy. And I have to say, I feel bad that he died. And I feel bad that any police officer died. In fact, I feel bad that anybody at all dies. But the fact of the matter is they don't do this guy a favor, or his memory or his family, to lie about the circumstances of his death. How does that serve any useful purpose except some ulterior motive that has nothing to do with the truth or with even the common decency of being honest with his family? And so the first story was that he confronted these guys at a convenience store. Remember that?
Yes, yes.
He tried to stop them, and they shot him. Okay, that was the first story. Then the story after 90% of the people were no longer paying attention. They said, "Oh, no." It wasn't at a convenience store. It was on the campus of MIT. And now you still have the impression maybe he tried to stop them on the campus of MIT. But then it changed again. And this time it wasn't that he tried to stop them. It was that they tried to get his gun. Okay, so they tried to get his gun. Now, where was he parked? So we are first told that he was parked on the street. Okay? I mean, if you want, we could talk about which street and so on. I'm sure your listeners know all these streets. But anyway, and I live in New York, so I had to come up there and look at the map and start from scratch. But anyway, we were told he was parked on the street, and these guys came up and shot him. After I start looking into the thing, I find out that the police chief claimed that because I was wondering, why was he even sitting in his car, right? It's nighttime, MIT, there's nobody around. And it's just strange, and they've issued these by that time of night on that Thursday of the week of the Boston Marathon bombing. They said that he had been. Remember 5 o'clock or whatever, the FBI put up those videos,
yes,
the stills. These two
they
guys
didn't know who
with
they
backpacks.
were. Yeah, yep. Exactly. Yep.
Right?
Yes, I do.
So we know that they're looking for these guys, and I guess the city, it certainly is tense. And there's this, I guess, MIT police officer sitting in his car. Now, why is he sitting in his car? Here's the story we were told by the police chief. He says he was sitting in his car to prevent people from making illegal right turns through the MIT campus. Now, first of all, I started thinking, who makes an illegal right turn late at night through a campus that's abandoned? So I don't get why you do that. So then I went and looked, and I said, do you save 5 miles by doing that? The answer is no, you save about 100 feet. Because if you're going down that street where you can turn right, there's a street light there. And so you would just turn right at the street light. So guess what I find? He wasn't parked on the street at all. He was parked by the Stata Center. Do you guys know that?
Yeah, I do. The new building. The new building, the modern one,
Center.
the silver one.
Yeah, he's parked by the Stata Center on whatever, I don't remember, the cobblestones or something.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Between two buildings, right?
Wedged between buildings. Now you're going to tell me that people make illegal right turns late at night on an abandoned campus between buildings on an elevated curb to avoid a street light a traffic light that's, yards ahead. I mean,
you got to go up and into a one-way. There's no one there. It's a farce.
It's totally bizarre. Yeah. Now, listen to this. Do you know that nobody in all of the media, as far as I know, the Boston Globe, the Boston Herald, all your fabulous NPR stations, blah, 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 the Progressive, this and that, not a single one of any of these news organizations in Boston, anywhere in the United States, or anywhere in the world has thought that this was interesting at all. All they wanted to do was report about, the Officer Collier 10K run. And the
hero, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word on the radio, and if not, I apologize.
That's fine.
It's okay?
We'll let you slide on that one.
We don't like swearing, but that one is okay.
Okay,
that's okay.
Heck, what the heck?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, what the heck? The whole story doesn't make any sense. So I said something is really, really strange here. And I go on the campus, and I start talking to students, and I say, have you ever seen a car cut through the campus at night? Have you seen a car go by this building? Whatever. And they're like, no, why would anybody do that? And do you know that I get a phone call and an email from a vice president at MIT telling me to stop coming on campus and asking questions because I'm upsetting people.
I do believe it. I mean, it's just they don't want any inquiry that's not that's off the reservation.
Well, that's because it tears down the hero, right? I mean, because that's the whole point of this is to build that hero figure.
And I think a lot of times, this, law enforcement tells them to shut up, to not talk to the media, to let them handle it, right, Russ?
That's correct. They are told to shut up. And it's also just general policy because all these big universities have large donors are very sensitive about things and so forth, and they don't want anything controversial. I understand that. But the fact of the matter is that somebody was killed, and this could be germane to the investigation of the largest terrorist attack on a U.S. soil since 9/11. I mean, I don't see how it's not important to an institution of higher learning to learn something.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. I mean, there's so many of these inconsistencies, and I love what you did too, looking at all the stories that you've been covering. You know, the fact, I knew this for a long time, but I didn't know how it was really happening, and you explain it. It's so obvious when you read the news and see it, but you explained it, how, like, all of a sudden all this information is coming out in the media, but there's no source. It's all rumor from law enforcement. No one claims anything, and then it's taken back and walked back and changed, and no one admits it. It's always leaked in the beginning to favor the law enforcement side. And it's this FBI guy. He used to work for the FBI. Now he works in the media, or supposedly. Who knows who he's working? I mean, you revealed that this is the way the media is now working. They're getting all the information from one FBI agent, and that's basically what we know about this whole Sarnoff case in the Boston media. Is that correct, Russ?
That's right. You have to look at this whole case as this remarkable hologram. It's a hologram. Almost everything we think we know doesn't hold up. And I just want to say something. I am not saying that the Tsarnaev brothers did not do something, did not commit a crime. Maybe they built a bomb. Maybe they, I don't know. But all I can tell you is what we were told does not hold up.
Sure.
And the fact that it doesn't hold up, and the fact that we're not allowed to ask about this, who, what, why, our website, we've gone to the Cambridge police and the Boston police and the Middlesex County. Are you guys in Is that right? Is Cambridge in Middlesex?
I believe so. Yeah, Middlesex
County,
yeah,
right? Okay, and then the county, Boston, is in whatever county.
Suffolk.
Yeah, Suffolk. Yeah. And then they all say we can't comment because it's an ongoing investigation. And then, the FBI never comments on these things. So, nobody will talk, but they talk, as you pointed out. They leak. They leak all this stuff. And the Boston media and the national media just takes all these freebies because they love it, because it's, it's stories, it's content that, sources who, asked that their name not be used told us this and this and this and this. Well, none of that stuff, practically none of it checks out. And so this whole Collier thing, and then what did they do? Why did they shoot him? This guy was supposedly sitting in his car. They come up to him and they shoot him in the head, and he doesn't even see them. I mean, now you got to question, why would they kill him? It paints them out to be, of course, homicidal maniacs, right? And it because what was the evidence that they committed the Boston bombing? All I've seen is a video of two kids walking with backpacks and a sea of people walking with backpacks. So we think we were shown some evidence, but we weren't. We were never shown any evidence that they did it. The bomb experts say it would have been quite difficult for these kids with what we think was their level of technical expertise to have actually built something like that. We don't really know them to have harbored any apparent animosity toward the United States. They told us that there was a story put out that Tamerlan Tsarnaev hated America and had no American friends. Guess who his friends were? Americans. Guess who his wife was? This blonde girl from Connecticut whose, father and grandfather or whatever were in Skull and Bones. I mean, honest.
Graham.
That's convenient.
Was her last name Russell or Graham or something like that? Or was it Russell?
Yeah, Russell.
Yeah. It's like a very common,
little theme.
How do I say? Like almost like a Brahmin name, I guess. Yeah. Like a Yeli.
His uncle lived in Virginia and was married to the daughter of the head of CIA operations in, Chechnya and the southern flank of the Soviet Union. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
That was the Graham Fuller guy, isn't that it?
Yeah, Graham Fuller. Yeah,
very interesting.
I mean, these are the things you never hear. Yeah. Other than who, what, why, our website. I mean, I don't know where there's a little bit of stuff people posted on the internet, but honestly, did you hear this on CBS?
No.
Did you read this in the Washington Post? I mean.
Maybe mentioned buried 100 pages in.
Yeah, right.
Way at the bottom. Yeah.
So, Russ, so you just